Hello guys, and welcome back to another cold episode. On today's episode, as you can tell by the title and the thumbnail, I am doing something that a lot of you guys have actually requested, which is basically going over the combos for Metalfoes. As there is an event coming up in Master Duel for common and rarity cards only, this is the deck that I had put together, and a lot of people had asked for a combo video or explaining the combos more in depth than I did in that video. So this is that response. At the end of the video, I will be showcasing a replay to more specifically show you how the deck works. It's a really good replay, and it was actually played in a duel room. So if you want to join in on some of the duel rooms, then make sure you subscribe and all of that, because yeah, I do them quite a bit, and you can come test a bunch of different decks with all of us. Anyway, let's quickly do the card by card. Once again, we have Bao Baboon. If this card is normal or special summoned, you can draw a card, then place a card from your hand on either the top or bottom of the deck. Most of the time, you're going to want to put it on the bottom, because you're going to be drawing more cards with the Bao Baboon. If this card is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can special summon any number of Bao Baboon from your deck. Neither of these is once per turn. So, what you will normally do is you will normal summon your Bao Baboon, get the effect to draw, and then replace, potentially drawing and replacing. And then you will pop it with one of your Metalfoes cards. Now, with this in mind, this deck was basically entirely unhit for the ban list for the Master Duel event. So, you have access to all of your Metalfoes. 'Awesome. So you're most likely going to have at least one Metalfoe and a Bao Baboon. Moving on, we have three True Draco cards. We are playing 2 Ignis Heat and 1 Majesty Maiden. It doesn't really matter. I mean, you technically could just play 3 of this card, but the reason we're not playing 3 is because we do want to be able to search out at least a trap. So there's that. Also, we want to be able to just add a card to our hand instead of activating it. So yeah, just more ways to get to the traps. This guy can only activate spells. I guess he could either activate them or add them, but yeah. Either way, just True Draco stuff. Pretty self-explanatory. As for the rest of the True Dracos, we are playing 1 Disciples, we are playing 2 Heritage, and we are playing 1 Apocalypse, because that is the only limited card in this format. We're playing the 1 True Draco Apocalypse and 2 True King's Return. As for the Metalfoes, we are playing basically 3 of all of them. 3 Melcaster, 3 Bismugear, 3 Gold Driver, 3 Silvered, 3 Stellan, and 3 Volflame. Notably, Melcaster and Bismugear actually have effects. All of the rest are normal monsters. So Melcaster's effect is if this card on the field is destroyed, you can add a face-up Metalfoes Pendulum monster from your extra deck to your hand. Pretty awesome. Bismugear says if it is destroyed during the end phase, you can add a Metalfoes monster. Very good. Most of the time, what I end up doing is trying to pop the Bismugear to get the additional search during the end phase, and since the format is a lower power level, getting that additional advantage every turn is very, very nice. Moving on, all of the Metalfoes have the same effect, where as a pendulum, you can target one other face-up card card you control, destroy it, and then set a Metalfoes Speller Trap directly from your deck. The targets for this are Metalfoes Fusion, Full Metalfoes Fusion, Parametalfoes Fusion, Combination, and Counter. Most of the time, you will want to have at least a Parametalfoes Fusion in rotation, and then you can go for things like a counter or a combination. Let's quickly explain what all of these do. Full Metalfoes Fusion is a quick play fusion spell. That's basically all it is. You go into a Metalfoes Fusion at quick effect speed. Very solid. It allows you to get your Cross Sheep potentially on your opponent's turn, which can allow you additional protection, or, just make a big body, if you need to. That's why we're playing 1. It doesn't come up all that often, and since it's searchable, you don't need that many. Also, notably, it does require you to use your hand or field, whereas if you use Metalfoes fusion, you can use your hand, field, or face-up extra deck. However, you cannot use 2 cards in your hand. They have to be from different locations. So, you could use your field and your hand. You could use your field and the face-up extra deck. You could use your hand and the face-up extra deck. Any of those, they cannot be in the same place, though. So, this is normally how you will be fusion summoning. Very, very solid. We are playing 2 combination. It's just a continuous spell or a continuous trap. Very good with the True Draco stuff. But more importantly, if it's destroyed and sent to the graveyard, you can add a Metalfoes from your deck to your hand. Also, it technically does have a first effect that allows you to special summon if you fusion summon. But all in all, it's mostly to add a Metalfoes from your deck to your hand. Metalfoes counter. If a card is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can special summon a Metalfoes monster from your deck. Just any card, at any time, even if you are the one who destroys the card. Very, very solid. Also, if it's in the graveyard, except the turn it was sent there, you can banish it to add a face-up Metalfoes pendulum monster. Also very good, because, you know, adding a pendulum monster to your hand is very solid. The only other card that we are playing in the main deck is Summoner's Art. This card just searches out Volflame. It's very nice. Yeah, that's the only reason it's here. It is still very solid, though. As for the extra deck, we are playing 1 Adamantite, or Adamanti. We are playing 3 Mithrilium. Realistically, you could cut this down to 2 and play something like a Malevolent Sin, but it's fine with 3 as well. It does come up occasionally. We are playing 1 Orichalc. Notably, these 2, Mithrilium and Orichalc, are mostly just big bodies, but their effects do come up occasionally. Mithrilium can bounce a card by returning 2 Metalfoes cards in the graveyard into the deck, and they both have floating effects. Mithrilium's floating effect allows it to special summon a Metalfoes Pendulum monster from the grave or face-up extra deck, and then Orichalc destroys a card. However, Orichalc also has the effect to inflict double piercing if it attacks a defense position, or if a Metalfoe attacks a defense position monster. So, there you go. Moving on, we are also playing 1 Heavy Metalfoes Alagam. It's basically just a link monster that you can go into if you need to get stuff off of the field, or get an extra link arrow. It kind of doesn't matter all that much. It rarely comes up, but it can occasionally. We're playing 1 Dryas. It does require a plant monster, but it's basically a link 1 for your Bao Baboon, because Bao Baboon is a plant, which basically gives us 2 differently named effect monsters, which is or just different names, which we can then use to go into Cross Sheep. So basically, 1 Bao Baboon with 1 Metalfoes is enough to go straight into your Cross Sheep for free, while also searching through your deck. Very solid. We are playing 1 Geonator Transverser. This card is crazy in this format. Just steal cards. Absolutely insane. We are playing 1 Triple Burst Dragon. This card is also very nice. It inflicts piercing battle damage, and during the damage step, it can negate an effect. So, very, very solid. And it's a Link 3. That's mostly what it's used for. And it doesn't require effect monsters, which can come up occasionally. Not too often, but occasionally. We're playing 1 Berserker of the Tenyi. Just a big dude. He's just a big dude. We are also playing 1 Gravity Controller. As for the XZs, we are playing 1 Super Quantum Mech Beast Grampulse. You could also, as I mentioned, play something like Malevolent Sin, but all in all, this card's good. It's just backrow removal, and there's going to be a lot of backrow in this format, so it makes sense. We are also playing 1 Odd Eyes Absolute Dragon, and the target for it, Vortex Dragon. Vortex Dragon is really the one that we want to talk about, but basically, Absolute Dragon, if it's sent to the graveyard, it can special summon out your Vortex Dragon. Vortex Dragon is just Herald of Ultimateness, except instead of fairies from the hand, it is pendulum monsters from the face-up extra deck. And it doesn't negate summons. But other than that, it's literally just Herald of Ultimateness. That's why this deck is crazy. How do you go into this? Well, you summon out a rank 7 with your Volflame and your, Melcaster. You go into the rank 7, you send it off for a link summon of something like a Berserker of the Tenyi, or you could even pop it with one of your own Metalfoes, and then you go into your Vortex Dragon. Absolutely crazy. let me hop into some of the actual combos. Alright, so here we are in the first replay, and this is basically the bread and butter. It's kind of a 4-card combo, however, the amount of cards is more important than the specific cards, and you'll see why in a second. So, as long as you have at least one Metalfoe, as well as Bao Baboon, this is what you are going to do. You're going to normal summon out your Bao Baboon. Bao Baboon's effect is going to activate in order for us to draw a card, and then place a card on either the top or bottom of the deck. Realistically, what you're searching for here is at least one other Metalfoes, but more importantly, probably 2. You want at least 2 Metalfoes, and I'll show you why. So I'm just going to put back this this Melcaster because it doesn't matter which Metalfoe we have. I'm going to then scale up our Gold Driver, and then Gold Driver's effect will activate. We will pop our own Bao Baboon. We will be able to set one of our spells or traps. So we are going to choose the Para Metalfoes Fusion. So I'm going to quickly add this in and then set it. So we will set the Para Metalfoes Fusion, and then Bao Baboon's effect will activate, allowing us to special summon out 2 more Bao Baboons. Both of these will be special summoned. Both of their effects will activate. So we will draw, and then we will send 2 back to the deck. It doesn't really matter which ones. So again, I'm just going to send these to the bottom of the deck for both of those. Now, I will link off one of the Bao Baboons into our Dryas. This is why we have this, because it does just... It's a link one that we can link off into a different name for, which allows us to go into Cross Sheep. We need 2 different names to make Cross Sheep, so there we go. Cross Sheep is really solid. It gives us a special summon from the graveyard if we fusion summon. And since we can search out a fusion summon, we can activate that here. Doesn't really matter what we scale up. I could have scaled something, popped the other one, and then we could have... You know what? Here, I'll show you. So I could either fuse... Actually, I can't. I can't even activate this fusion here. So, never mind. But, so what I'm going to do is we are going to scale up the Stalin here. I'm going to activate. I'm going to then pop this guy. We're going to pop our own card. We're going to get another one of our Metalfoes spells or traps. I normally like to grab Counter here. Reason being, Counter allows us to get basically extra advantage if one of our cards is destroyed, and it's better on the opponent's turn. So I am just going to bring out this guy, set him, and then we are able to activate our Para Metalfoes Fusion. We will then send this guy to the grave. Oh my gosh. Send that guy to the grave as well as this one. They both go to the grave. Kind of weird, but that's just how it works. And then we are able to fusion summon it out. We could go for any of these. The best one to go for is Mithrilium. The reason for this is, one, it's pretty large. It's larger than Adamantum, the normal monster. But also, it does have an effect that floats, as well as it has the effect to return a card to the hand by shuffling back Metalfoes cards. So it's very nice to just recur your resources. However, Cross Sheep is going to activate here, and we will add back special summon back one of our Metalfoes monsters. So I am just going to special summon back our Gold Driver. It doesn't really matter which one we special summon back, because here we can then link this off. Oh, hold on. We can link this off with the Cross Sheep in order to go into something like a Berserker of the Tenyi. And at this point, this is pretty much a solid setup. One thing to keep in mind with this entire format is stay away from these 2 zones specifically. The middle one, as well as your far left. Geonator Transverser can steal your monsters if they are in these zones, hence why I put the Berserker here, because it blocks this one. But yeah, do keep that in mind. However, this may not be that impressive of a board, but the thing is, you have a counter, which activates on any card destruction to special summon a monster from the deck. You have Mithrilium, which will special summon from the graveyard if it is destroyed. Berserker's just really big in this format. It's kind of difficult to deal with even just a 3,000 attack point normal monster. And then on top of that, you still have one of your Pendulum Scales, which you can go for on the following turn if need be. All in all, it's not that impressive, but it does have a lot of follow-up, and it is really, really recursive. You're just able to special summon a lot, grab up a lot of advantage, and that is the name of the game. Let's do another replay. Alright, so in this replay, or example, we're going to try our best to get specifically into the Odd Eyes Vortex Dragon. Now, the best way to do that, well, you also want to have face-up pendulum monsters while this guy is on the field. So, while this hand may look rather specific, it's not. Most of these cards are interchangeable as long as you have an 8 scale and a 1 scale, as well as any 2 of your 7s, or a way to get to them with something like Summoner's Art. You should be able to do this reliably. So, let me show you how. You do need at least one other Metalfoes as well, so there's that. So what we're going to do is we are going to quickly scale up. And then we're just going to pen summon out all of these. So, real quick. Pendulum. 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 Then we're going to overlay these two onto each other. And go into our big boy, the Absolute Dragon. Okay? Then there's a lot that we can do here. Either we can go for our Metalfoes cards, like we can activate our Stellan here, or we could potentially even link off into something like the Cross Sheep or what have you. But the reason that we are not able to put these 2 cards, which are attached to this guy as material, into the face-up extra deck is because of the fact that, you know, they're attached as material. They're no longer really pendulum monsters, they're material. So, because of that, we do need to have at least one other pendulum, or a way to get another pendulum. So technically, we could like pop one of our own pendulum scales, and then if we were able to get another one, we could do that as well. We could also say that we had a True Draco, as well as one of the True Draco cards, instead of, you know, at least instead of one of these. We could instead, you know, set the card or activate the card, tribute summon this guy by using this one, and then that would still trigger the effect to special summon out. However, we wouldn't have any material with which to negate. So, again, not really desirable, but it is something to keep in mind. If this is just sent to the graveyard, you're able to special summon out your Vortex Dragon. So, there's that. I swear there's a way to send this to the deck. Yeah, there we go. So, anyway, what I'm going to do is I'm going to activate one of our Metalfoes. We're going to pop this guy. So he's going to go to the grave with everything else. And we are going to set one of our cards. I'll just set the counter. Just the best one to set. So we'll set that. And then we will special summon out our Vortex Dragon. Now, Vortex Dragon is not only Herald of Ultimateness, if specifically you have a face-up extra deck monster, but on top of that, when it is special summoned, you can target an opponent's face-up attack position monster and return it to the hand. So if, for example, they had their own Odd Eyes Absolute Dragon, bye-bye. Goodbye, so long, farewell, get rid of it, it's gone. Absolutely crazy. So here, now we can actually activate our second effect in order to pop this guy, which will go to the face-up extra deck, and then we can set another card. Now we have one negate, an Omni negate, as well as just added protection and follow-up. And honestly, even one Omni negate tends to be enough in this format. So I'm going to set the combination here. And yeah, that is more or less something that you want to work towards. Normally, you don't get this guy out on the first turn. It is kind of difficult to do that reliably, just given the fact that you need a lot of very specific cards or specific types of cards that sometimes you just won't see. Maybe you'll see one ranks or level 7, but not the other. Even with Bao Baboon searching for more cards, it's still rather difficult to do that reliably. So yeah, there you go. Alright, so let's quickly talk about the True Draco side of this deck. So, with True Dracos, the best thing that you can do oftentimes is you could potentially pendulum summon out some of your monsters and then tribute summon for them very normally. Or, the best thing to realistically do is something like this. We'll search out ourselves our Volflame, with the Summoner's Art. I swear it's here somewhere. There we go. This will go to the grave, and then we will Pendulum Scale, and we will Pendulum Scale. And then at this point, again, as I said, you could Pendulum Summon, but I'm actually going to activate the Stellan here in order to send this guy to the face-up extra deck, allowing us to set one of our Pendulum, our Fusion cards. There we go. I could even go for counter here. Actually, let's do that. Let's go counter here. It's a little bit better. So I am going to set this guy. And then we still have Stellan here, so we can activate the Stellan, and we could potentially go for another one. And in fact, I'm going to do that because True Dracos are very, very solid. So I'm going to activate this guy. We're going to pop this one. So it goes to the face-up extra deck, and then we are able to set ourselves another continuous trap in combination. So we're going to set the combination, and now we can also set the True King's Return. Now, during the opponent's turn, we can flip up our True King's Return. We could tribute off. We could also flip up our combination. We could tribute off either the combination or the return, and then get either the effect of our True King's Return or the combination. Combination will search out one of our Metalfoes cards, and return will pop a monster on the field. Then, with Metalfoes counter, we are able to grab back that advantage if need be. So, again, just kind of a very solid setup. Again, little bit more specific, but yeah, just something that you can go for. And with the True Dracos and the Metalfoes, they work hand in hand. You could also, for example, if you didn't end up tributing off the True King's Return, you could pop it during your turn on the follow-up if they say, you know, had a set card, or if they just had multiple monsters on the field during the end of turn. You could pop your own True King's Return, or just any of your True King cards in order to, again, go for like one of your fusion cards or your counters or what have you. So there you go. All right. So one thing that I like to do in these combo videos is do basically test hands. That's the best way to learn a deck, especially one as complicated as this one. It's not too complicated, but it is at least somewhat. So here is the hand that we have been given. This True Draco card kind of doesn't do anything this turn, but it could potentially in the future. So it's not bad to have. However, we did end up drawing 3 Metalfoes, which is very nice. We only drew 1 level 7 and no Bao Baboons. How would I most likely pilot this, or just what is a good thing that you can go for? So, real quick, we are going to pen scale one of them, and we have all 1s, so the best thing to do is just try and get into a fusion as comfortably as possible. So I'm going to just, we're going to pen scale the Melcaster here, and then I'm going to activate the Melcaster in order to pop our own, our Gold Driver. And then we will we will add, or set, we could go Metalfoes here, or we could go counter. It kind of depends on how conservative you want to play. You know, do you want to be more defensive? Go for counter. If you want to try and get out a monster and maybe play more aggressive, you could go fusion. I would say the best option isn't to go for the fusion. That puts your cards into the graveyard, which isn't great. And more specifically, going counter here is almost always going to be useful. If your monster gets destroyed, it's just going to be good for you. So, yeah. Now, had we an 8 scale or a high scale, we could have pendulum summoned out one of our monsters and then tributed for the True Draco, but alas, we cannot do that. I guess I could technically go for the fusion and then do that, but I don't think it's necessary. We're just going to go for the counter here. So we'll go for the counter here, and then we will activate the effect of our silver, or sorry, not activate. We will pen skip. We will pendulum skip. We will pendulum scale. There we go. We will pendulum scale our silvered. Silvered will then pop our Melcaster, and then setting a card. Actually, here we can activate our Metalfoes. So we'll set that guy. Nope, not what I wanted. Thank you, dueling book. Can I add this guy back to my hand, please? Hello, please. let me add this guy back to my hand. I didn't mean to do that. Anyway, Metalcaster will then be able to add back our Gold Driver. Now, do keep in mind, with Metalcaster, it does have a restriction where if you do use its effect, you cannot activate this guy. Also, or cards with its name, and you can't place them in the pendulum zones for the rest of this turn. Just straight up, you just can't use that card. Not that big of a deal, but it is something to keep in mind. We're just going to activate this Metalfoes fusion here, and we're going to send this guy to the grave, as well as the Gold Driver. And then we will go into, it doesn't really matter. I think the best one to go for here is the Mithrilium. Reason being, when it's sent to the graveyard, you can special summon back one of your monsters. So we'll go for the Mithrilium here, and then we will just tribute summon over it in order to grab ourselves the True Draco half of our deck. And then, more importantly, we are able to special summon back this guy. So we're going to special summon it back our Metalcaster, and now we have our True Draco as well as the Metalcaster, and we get to set combination as well as counter. Again, the boards that this deck makes are very unassuming, but very resilient. It's hard to really deal with it consistently. So there you go, pretty solid. Yeah, we've got the combination, we've got counter. We still have one of our pendulums, as well as another one potentially to go to the extra deck, as well as our True Draco stuff. All in all, a very solid start. All right, and this will be the last test hand that we do, and then I'll hop into a replay. So we have Bismugear. Bismugear we haven't seen thus far, but it's really solid. It just adds back during the end phase, adds one of our Metalfoes from deck to hand during the end phase. So most of the time, you're going to want to try and destroy this card. So we are going to first of all activate this, and then since we have all 8s, we're just going to activate our Volflame here. Volflame will then activate in order to pop this guy, and then you got to make sure, oops, sorry, face up extra deck. To the face of extra deck. And then this guy, you do need to make sure that you activate the effect so that it activates during the end phase. But we will get our search here, so we will search out for our Metalfoes fusion here. We are then going to scale up the second Bismugear. Bismugear is going to then pop our Volflame. Volflame will go to the face of extra deck. We will search another card, or set another card here in the counter. Yes. Now, actually, because I have the Maiden, is it worth it to do that? Yes, I think so. Okay, so now we are going to activate Stellan. We're going to... oh, no. Just kidding. Don't do that. Don't make my mistake. We're going to then activate the Metalfoes fusion. We are going to fuse off the Stellan. Where to grave? There we go. Oh my gosh. As well as, it doesn't really matter which one. We will send the Bismugear. I think sending Bismugear here is probably better. So we will send that one to the grave in order to fusion summon out our Mithrilium. So Mithrilium will come out, and then we can actually just immediately tribute summon for our Maiden. Hold on, let me move this guy over here. So then Mithrilium's effect will activate in order to special summon out the Bismugear. You may be like, well, why did I go for the or why did I tribute summon out the Maiden when it has less attack? Reason being, adding a True Draco card from your deck to your hand is incredibly nice. Also, since we do have the counter as well as, just the protection of the monsters that we currently have on field, it's not that big of a deal. Plus, during the end phase, we are going to be able to search out one of our cards. There's a very low chance that your opponent is going to be able to actually kill you through this field. So, yeah, we're going to act as if though all of these ended up getting triggered, and our monsters do end up going to the, do end up getting destroyed. So, how would I simulate that? Real quick, let's search out one of our True Draco cards. First and foremost, I feel like the best thing to search out is probably Ignis Heat. Oh, no, not on it. Ignis Heat, it's just another tribute summon, which is very nice. This guy will go to the face-up extra deck, and since it was destroyed by battle or card effect, we are able to search out another one of our monsters. Here, we are going to grab our rank 7. Or, sorry, our level 7. We're going to act as if this guy went to the grave. We're also going to say that our Metalfoes counter did go off, and we were able to special summon out one of our monsters. Doesn't really matter which one. We'll say it even went to the grave. So, yeah, we'll go for Volflame here. There we go. Cool. So, pretty solid. Oh, sorry. This would probably go to the face-up extra deck. Okay, cool. So, during our turn, we can immediately activate our Metalfoes counter after we draw. So, I'll draw for turn. And then we can activate this in order to add to our hand one of our face-up extra deck cards. The best one to grab here is just going to be Volflame. Even though we already have a Volflame, it's just going to be the best one. We do want Bismugear in the face-up extra deck because we can't actually pendulum it out. So having it in the extra deck is better than having it in hand. So there you go. Because again, we can use that as a material for our negation of Vortex Dragon. Hopefully that made sense. Yeah, we'll add the Volflame here. We will then scale up our 1/1 scale. So we're going to scale up, and then we will pendulum summon out our 1. And we can't actually pendulum that one out, so never mind. But yeah, now we can immediately go into our Vortex Dragon. Onto this guy. Hold on. I did that. Whoa, I did that weird. Oh, hold on. Detach. Stop. No, not what I wanted. Oh my gosh. Hold on. Hold. Hold phone. Jeez, dueling book. Come on. There we go. And then this can go back to the extra. Okay. Okay. So now we've done this, and then we can just tribute over this in order to send this guy to the grave, in order to special summon out your boy, the Vortex Dragon. And then, if my opponent still had a monster, I could shuffle that back into the deck, and then we have 2 Omni Negates that are not once per turn and not once per chain. Absolutely crazy, by the way. And then again, we could still even activate our Melcaster or our Bismugear in order to pop the other one, right? So I could activate this guy. We could go Declare. We can pop this guy. No, I sent it to the grave. Gosh dang it. This goes to the face-up extra deck. And then, again, that's another material, as well as we can set a card, as well as go into more fusions and stuff like that. I think it's pretty much understood. Oh my gosh, words are hard. I'm pretty sure it's understood what you can do at this point. Alright, so here is the first replay that I said I would show you guys. And as you can see, we are playing up against Shiranui, and we get to go first. Really solid here. We have a really stellar hand. We have our True Draco side of the deck, as well as the Metalfoes with Bao Baboon. So we are going to Summoner's Art to search out another Volflame. Volflame is then going to pop our Bao Baboon, which we had normal summoned. Bao Baboon is going to activate to special summon out 2 Bao Baboons. Bao Baboon is then going to cycle some cards. So we're going to draw 1, return 1 to the deck, and then draw 1 and return 1. We're going to put that Volflame, and then search out another Volflame. You know, why not? So we grab up another Volflame, and then I make a pretty big mistake here. I end up going for the Dryas, and then into the Cross Sheep. Realistically, that doesn't do anything for me. Sitting on Cross Sheep doesn't do anything. I can't go for an extra deck monster, or a fusion monster, because I've set the Metalfoes counter instead of going for an actual fusion monster, which was a rather large mistake on my part. But what I should have done is just go into the rank 3 that we play in our Super Quant, because it's got a it's got a 2800 defense point. Well, it's got 2800 defenses, so just sitting on that would have been very, very solid. However, it doesn't end up mattering too much. But that was a rather large mistake. However, they're going to MST our set True True King's Return. So we're going to just activate that to tribute summon out our Ignis Heat, and then Ignis Heat is going to activate on their Spirit Master in order to activate our True Draco Heritage. I can never remember what all of them are. I don't care enough. So they're going to special summon out their Spectral Sword and then go into Zeta. Zeta is quite a big problem for us. It can banish, it can quick effect banish a special summoned monster that is in face-up defense position, as well as itself. Just banish both of them. Yeah, just at any time. Also, it's 2500, which is a big problem for this deck. So we're going to Metalfoes counter in order to bring out a Bismugear here. Bismugear just gets us the most advantage, so that's why we're going for that. I'm going to activate the Volflame in order to pop our Bismugear in order to set another counter, since I had already drawn the Metalfoes fusion. I'm going to activate Bismugear and then chain to it the counter. Bismugear is going to add back during the end phase, not add back, but add a monster during the end phase. We're going to then activate the Bismugear in order to pop the Volflame in order to go for combination. I'm then going to activate the Metalfoes fusion, and here I make another rather large mistake against specifically Zeta. I put this Mithrilium in attack position for no real reason. I could have put it into defense position, and it would have basically accomplished the same thing. The main thing that I want out of this is the Cross Sheep special summon so that I could bring back like a Bao Baboon or something like that just to get me more monsters onto the field. But I decided to put it into attack position for reasons. So I'm going to activate my Cross Sheep on the summon, and they are going to banish our Mithrilium and then banish itself. So I don't end up getting anything. So we're just going to go to battle and deal a quick 700. We do have counter as well as combination, which is nice, and we get this search during the end phase, but all in all, it's not looking too great. We just have a Cross Sheep and then a very easy to deal with Mithrilium. So they are going to normal summon their Samurai, and then they are going to banish a card, and then banish the Spirit Master that they had engraved, pop the Mithrilium. Mithrilium is going to special summon, and then Metalfoes counter is also going to chain to that to special summon as well. So here we go. There's Melcaster. It's just big. That's mostly why I got it. Same with Volflame. Also, if both of these somehow stay on the field, they will rank 7. That doesn't end up happening. We're going to get our Melcaster banished and the Volflame sent to the extra deck, but it does not end up mattering. We're going to add back the Volflame, and we drew Summoner's Art, which is super, super awesome here. So we're going to add back another Volflame here. We're going to scale up one of those Volflames. I'm going to then flip up the combination. Combination is going to get popped by the Bismugear in order to set the Metalfoes fusion. Combination is then going to search out the Melcaster. We want as many 7s as I can get, basically, but also Pendulum Scale 1s. So I am going to then activate the Volflame to pop the Bismugear to set the combination. Then I am going to activate the effect of Bismugear to search during the end phase, and then scale up the Melcaster. Melcaster is then going to Melcaster and Volflame will allow us to Pendulum Summon for a 7. We will go for the Odd Eyes Absolute Dragon in defense position. The reason we go for this guy in defense position is 1, to deal with Zeta, and 2, because we need it to go into Vortex Dragon. Cross Sheep is going to activate. He's going to Zeta away our Cross Sheep. Not a lot that we can do about that. So, yeah, that's fine. I would have preferred to have a Cross Sheep still, because then I could have linked this guy off into a Link 3, but it's fine nonetheless. We're going to then pop our own Heritage to set a full Metalfoes and search out the Gold Driver. We're going to bring back our Cross Sheep with the Zeta, and then they are going to special summon out to, they're going to normal Squire, special Spectral Sword, and then we are going to activate our combination and chain the fusion, the full Metalfoes fusion. We're going to go Adamantite here, mainly because that was the only option that we could go for, but also because it's just a big guy. It's just a big guy. So yeah, we're going to activate combination in order to special summon out our Gold Driver, hoping that they Zeta it, so we'll see. They're going to go into their Shiranui Squire Saga. They're going to pop our back row by banishing a Squire. Squire's going to draw and then discard, and then they are going to banish 4 Samurai. Now, Samurai banishes if it battles a monster. So I'm going to just negate the attack, negate the battle, no banishing, no nothing like that. This is the only thing that I need to negate. So yeah, there you go. Negate. They're going to Zeta here. I think they're trying to banish the Absolute Dragon. but that they can't. So they just end up banishing our gold driver, which is not that big of a deal. And then they can't get over either one of our other 2 monsters, so they just have to end the turn. We're going to pendulum summon out our Stellan. I really should have just normaled this. I don't know why I pendulumed it, but I did. So there you go. It doesn't end up mattering all that much, because I really wouldn't have needed to pendulum anyway. So we are going to go for the Triple Burst Dragon. The main reason for this is to get the Odd Eyes Absolute Dragon to special summon out the Odd Eyes Vortex Dragon. Vortex Dragon is then going to shuffle away our... the Squire Saga, and then we are going to attack in for quite a hefty amount of damage. They have 4,400 life points left, which will end up mattering. They're going to bring back their Zeta, I'm going to bring back my Gold Driver. They are going to pop probably the worst card in the combination, which allows us to search out the Gold Driver. I don't know. They didn't really know what was going on. But because of Vortex Dragon, it becomes very difficult for them. Realistically, what they could have done is just gone Zeta, attack into the Vortex Dragon. Since it was an attack position, realistically, I should have just put it in defense. There's no reason to put it in attack. I knew Zeta was coming back. Big mistake from me. But yeah, they realistically should have just crashed these 2, and then they would have been free to just continue playing. But since they didn't, I'm going to negate the Spirit Master, shuffling back the Stellan. And then, yeah, negate and destroy. Not a whole lot they can do. They attack into the Triple Burst Dragon. Still a big mistake, but it doesn't end up mattering. We're going to Tribute Summon our Majesty Maiden, and then pendulum out the 2 Gold Drivers, and attack in for lethal. I'm going to even negate his Zeta. He didn't need to activate it, but he did. So I'm going to negate it, and that is well over lethal. So that's basically how the deck functions. So hopefully this video allowed you to gain an understanding of how to play this deck, some of the lines that you can take, and some of the very different, or not very different, but the different strategies that you can go for with the Metalfoes cards. But yeah, that's going to be it for this episode. I hope that you guys did indeed enjoy. If you did, a like is very much so appreciated. And if you want to check out more content like this, as well as more Yu-Gi-Oh!, then just be sure to subscribe. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and remember to always stay frosty. Bye-bye.